Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. In today's video, we are talking about Lego bridges, mostly Lego train bridges, but very interested in the concept of a vehicle bridge as well. I think bridges are an awesome concept. I think they look amazing in Lego train layouts and around Lego City layouts. And I've had the privilege of seeing several really inspiring ones when we were out at shows this year. So I want to show you guys a couple that were particularly inspiring to me. And then we've also picked up a couple of instruction sets off of Rebrickable, which we'll take a closer look at. We've got a great truss bridge instruction set from Brick Train Depot that we haven't built yet, but we're going to be circling back around to build as well. So some cool stuff ahead here. Let's dive in and get started. So first off, let's take a look at those inspiration bridges. We've got an awesome brick bridge that was used in a Thomas the Train layout that I saw earlier this year at Northern Bricks. Really cool stuff. And a great bridge from Bricks Cascade earlier this year. And last but not least, an awesome bridge from BSBT in Germany, where we were able to see a lot of amazing builds this summer. So, a couple things that stand out for me about those bridges before we jump into looking at the instruction sets that we've picked up here. First off, the brick bridge. This is something that I'm going to be looking to build in the hopefully near future. I've got a number of the sort of red masonry brick pieces that I think would go really well into making that style of bridge. I love the general look of it. The two things that stand out for me, I need to make sure that it's going to work with our layout in as sort of easy a way as possible. In the video that you saw, don't think it would work out of the box for a double wide track, like a Mills module with two tracks going through one tunnel. I think we could make some changes to the sort of general look and shape of it to make that work. So that's going to be something that I will look to do when I create that particular bridge. In general, I really like the idea of having a bridge that is spanning over the main track level. So, over top of the mainline track here and creating a second tier to the layout, similar to what you saw in that last clip from the BSBT 2025 show that we were at about a month ago. Really like that idea. I think it would be cool. One of the nice things about it, it'll work, whether we have a second tier or not. You could very easily see a static display of a train up on a second level on top of that bridge, which would look really cool, even if it wasn't able to run. The nice thing about that BSBT train show, they actually had the second tier working and it was all built out with track. So trains were able to go over that bridge and around. So, something that we could put in place, and then at certain times we could actually hook it up to a fully functional second tier around a layout, which could be cool. And the third bridge, the in-between bridge that we showed from Bricks Cascade, just really like the look of that one. And I'm looking to build out a couple of different additional bridges to go in and around our lift out bridges. I really like how well the lift out bridges have worked for us. And so in addition to sort of tidying them up and replacing some of the temporary parts that were in them, I would definitely like to look at some alternate styles that we could add in there as well that would function in a similar fashion. So that's kind of the inspiration. It's a little bit about where I want to go with these. Let's take a look at the instruction sets that I picked up on Rebrickable. So first up, we've got an excellent looking truss bridge. This is by Master Builder KTC on Rebrickable. The bridge requires 1,224 pieces. I'll include a link below to all of these instruction sets, the two on Rebrickable and the one on Brick Train Depot. Things that I really like about this, I think the bridge looks awesome. I think it's a great style of bridge. And I like the fact that it's mounted on these sort of concrete pylons here. Looks like there's some flexibility to easily extend the bridge out here with the pylons and the way that things attach to them. And, obviously going to need to test this out and see exactly what the clearance is underneath the bridge. Make sure that it'll function the way I need it to over top of track here in the Lego room. And, that it would work if we were to take it out to a show. But this looks awesome. I could see potentially extending this out to be 2 tracks wide, or at least to have 2 of them side by side to still allow for 2, mainline tracks on the upper tier. But this is a really cool looking bridge. I think it's a really cool idea, and interested to see how we can bring it to life. And like I said, I really like the idea of bridges that can work over top of our 2 mainline tracks, working on, underneath, going by on the mills. And this definitely looks like it's got the clearance for 2 tracks to pass through underneath it with plenty of space to spare. So definitely excited to put this together. And this would, in its just the state that you see here, would work very well as a static display bridge over top of some track. So I think it's good. It's got short-term functionality, and like I said, could extend out in the future to have a complete second level that was all attached to it. Now, looking over at this next set of instructions here, these are by Thomas Bean. It's a coaster truss bridge. Really love the look of this particular one. It consists of 1,861 pieces, and it just looks really cool and amazing. I think using the coaster tracks to form all this under bridge track structural work there looks amazing, very eye-catching. Love the fact that it's mixed in with the masonry brick here. I think a really cool, sort of overall looking bridge. It definitely feeds into the concept of having the potential for a static bridge over track, as well as, something that could plug into a second tier that would move around the layout. Not entirely sure what we're looking at here in terms of the vertical clearance. Trains would definitely be able to pass under this. It looks quite tall. It might need some work to fit in with whatever, I don't think out of the box it would plug in next to a bridge like this one. I think we're looking at a much higher clearance here on the bridge, which isn't a deal breaker. It probably raises some interesting things about how to interface these if they were on a, the same layout. But on the whole, I think it looks really cool. The one gotcha with this particular bridge in my mind is that we wouldn't, I don't think, be able to fit two tracks going through on a mills plate under there. It looks like you'd need to branch the tracks out so that they would go one under one side, one under the other side over there. That could be a little awkward, but this looks awesome. So, it's on my list to build, and I think through the building process, we will look at how we could adapt it to make it fit and work with everything that we're trying to achieve. But this one just really stood out for me because it's so visually awesome and eye-catching. I think that even if it doesn't interface, and can't be sort of part of the main layout, it would just be a cool structure to have, and to have in a, sort of alternate portion of the layout where it could stand and function. And again, like this would work perfectly fine as a static display. But my hope is with all of these to, even if they are a static display initially on the, the second tier of the layout, I would like them to eventually have the ability to plug in together with each other so that you could have trains moving around on another level in and around the layout. So lots to ultimately dig through with these two instruction sets, but I think they both look really cool and provide some different benefits and sort of question marks on there, that we're gonna have to figure out. But I think both of them will be a lot of fun to put together. Looking forward to seeing how we can integrate those around the layout. Now on to the third set of instructions, the truss bridge from Brick Train Depot by Bricktail Studios. Now, this is an excellent set of instructions for a bridge that I believe we featured on the channel about a year ago, and still very much in my plans to build this. I consider this to be kind of a different tier of bridge. You can see the clearance from the ground here is very low, and the basic idea of this is that it would need basically roughly a 2-inch sort of drop in the table height where it is, and then it could interface properly into the mainline track around our layout. I think it looks really cool. We have seen this in action at Brick World Chicago, and really looking forward to building this. It does require some 3D printed parts, which I believe Brick Train Depot is going to be selling soon. So I'm going to be looking into picking those up, but a great bridge design, and definitely looking, I think there's a few spots and a few different types of bridges that would work around the layout in this sort of style where they are pretty much integrated into the mainline mills and give you the ability to have streams or rivers that are passing underneath the bridge. And the way the bridge interfaces with the end modules here, and it sort of ties into the mills around it, I think it could be fairly easy to actually put this into a raised sort of second level situation around the layout too, if we want to. So looking forward to trying this out. I think it's going to be great, but I think all three of these should be a lot of fun and very interesting in their own ways. And none of these really covers that first bridge that I showed in the inspiration. I really want to build a brick bridge like that. So we're going to be looking into it. I've got a number of the pieces that I think will be required for it. I'd like to try a couple different versions of it, one for trains and one for cars. I think that a static sort of bridge chunk display would be cool to have both here in the Lego room and out at shows to show off not only trains in some situations like we've talked about, but also vehicles. I've seen a number of bridge sections or, actually quite long bridges at just Lego shows in general. And really cool way to show off a number of different Lego vehicles and have them in a sort of realistic environment. So definitely some things ahead to look at there. Like I said, ideally I want the bridges for the most part to interface really nicely with spanning across two chunks of track. So basically one entire Mills module with track. Think that will just make it a lot easier for interfacing, not only with our layout here in the Lego room, but with other modules that people bring to train shows. So going to be keeping that in mind. We'll see, we can adapt things as we go if we need to. Definitely could have some interface modules that go from the standard track arrangement into something a bit wider and separated for something like this, and then return back to the normal track. But just wanted to show you guys these great instruction sets and talk a little bit about the bridges that we are hoping to do some building on in the coming months here. Definitely want to start getting some of these into the building process and looking to see where we can integrate them around the layout. And we'll talk a bit more about our lift out bridges in an upcoming video. I'm going to be doing some work on those to tidy them up and sort of polish them up a bit more, and looking forward to continuing to extend out the lift out bridge concept and how it integrates with our lower layout. And hopefully we'll take it out to a train show again in the near future. Now, like I mentioned, all of the links for these instruction sets below will be included in the description of the video. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.